Hi everybody, and welcome to this week's Markets to Watch from Smack the Markets for week commencing the 12th of July. So this week again we start the week with relatively light fundamental schedule, not a great deal of news on the data slate to help direct the markets, and that's certainly the truth for Monday and Tuesday. Come to Wednesday things start to look a little bit better, and we start to get a few more key events coming through. Having said that, I think the big question for traders at the beginning of this week is all around the US dollar. The dollar index has slipped back to a key 92 level. It's a critical price point for the uptrend and the recent strength in the market, and I think if we see weakness off there, then we're going to see some significant weakness start to come into the US dollar. Having said that, it's at a nice point here where we could start to see a bit of a bounce. So let's take a look at a few markets here and some of the opportunities that we're looking at going into the beginning of this week. If we start off with the index markets, because these US index markets again pushed on to all-time highs last week. It's particularly true of the NASDAQ and the S&Ps. If we have a look at the Dow here, let's have a look at the Dow on the daily time frame. You can see that we managed to get up to the level here that market's been testing here for a few times. So again, we're up at highs. These highs here represent some areas here where we're starting to see some weakness coming into these indicators, just indicating that momentum is starting to weaken off as price is getting higher. I like to look at the 4-hour time frame on these, and you can see that whilst we've had from the previous high to the current high, we've had convergence. If you have a look at the previous high to the current high, we've got divergence here, and you'll see that this is more profound when we start to look at markets like the S&Ps. And if we have a look at the broader market here with the S&P future, you can see that whilst we've had 3 new highs here, high, higher high and higher high again, we've started to get lower highs forming in the indicators as well, just indicating that there's, as the market's moving higher, we've got weakness coming into the strength of momentum on these markets. And the same is true here when we have a look at the NASDAQ as well. So let's have a look at the NASDAQ. You can see that whilst we haven't made a new high on the NASDAQ or pushed through the previous high, you can see that we've got significant divergence here. So even if price action were to push a little bit higher to get to an equal high, we would have divergence here still on the indicators. So what does that mean for trading? Well, these markets have been very, very strong. There's a lot of things driving these markets higher, and it's not the case that I would be looking at shorting these markets straight away without any sort of further confirmation. At this moment in time, we sort of stay neutral on these, and we trade them from an intraday perspective and trading the intraday trend. Remember, we can have some fairly significant drawdowns on an individual day, and in which case we want to stay nimble and be able to trade those markets short. And likewise, when things turn around and we have a strong day, we like to trade things long. So you can see here, just going back over the past few weeks here, we've had periods where we've had significant drawdown and also to the long side, and still in the context of a bull market. So at this moment in time, we're just looking at intraday plays on those index markets, just being sort of a little bit cautious with the strength of those trends. Now, if we come over to the metal markets, a few here that we've been keeping an eye on for a while have been gold and silver. We've had some nice trades on this, but gold is now sitting around this sort of key 1800 level, and you can see that the market, if we have a look at this perhaps on the daily, first of all, you can see that the market has just been sort of pegged there for the past few days. In fact, the past week the market hasn't really advanced past this 1800 price point. If we have a look at this a little bit higher and go up to the weekly chart and start to assess the structures here, you can see that the market has been sort of bouncing off some significant price points, and that level here around sort of 1750 was quite an interesting price point. The market bounced off this sort of structure. We're now coming up to the sort of top end here of this sort of level, and I think sort of significant advancement here could see a bit of a breakout on gold, and we could start to see possibly 1900 being tested there, and that's the sort of level that I'm quite liking from a bullish perspective. So when is gold going to break out? Well, we need to sort of wait for that to occur. This again, when you start to look at this on a 4-hour time frame, these markets are looking decisively sort of choppy. So at this moment in time, we'd like to see some sort of breakout, some sort of evidence here that the move is likely is to occur, and then start to look for positioning. If you bear in mind, 1900 is all the way up here, so there's plenty of distance for positioning and plenty of distance to take advantage of that. So if we take a quick look at silver in the context of gold, just to see how silver is performing. Silver is a little bit different from gold at this moment in time. It's just being pegged around this sort of 26 sort of dollar level at the moment. It's really been unable to make too much advancement. So again, this could be a sort of a bit of an indicator as to what may happen with gold and when gold may get a bit of a move. We really need to see some decisive action on this. So far at this moment in time, this sort of $26 level looks to be sort of well supported. We've got some convergence on the indicators as the market's sort of been testing this and pegging around this area, but so far the market's failed to get going. If we come up to the time frames, to the weekly time frame, you can see that we've got a series of higher lows forming in the market, even though we haven't had higher highs. But again, if this sort of structure can hold where the market is at the moment, that's just around this sort of $26 price point, then the path of least resistance looks for a move up here towards that $28 price point. That's the sort of move that we're looking at. Now the warning signs here, even though from the chart technicals it looks that way, we have got some rather weak momentum in the indicators as well at the moment. So again, it's very much a wait and see approach on precious metals at this moment in time. Now come back to currencies, and I mentioned this earlier about the US dollar. Well, the US dollar again, it's at a critical price point. It's in the context of a long trend. It's been very strong. We've had some very significant moves from 90 from that key 90 level up to 92. So where now for dollar related markets? Well, as the dollar has been strengthening, we would certainly be wanting to be considering opportunities to the long side, and one market here that I'm liking the look of for a dollar strength play is dollar Sing, and also dollar CAD is looking rather similar. So the reason I like this is if we have a look at this on the higher time frames here, you can see that dollar Sing has actually broken out of a long-term consolidation range here, where we've been sitting and bouncing off this 132 level to 135 level for a while now. We've got evidence here of strong momentum building up in the market, particularly as now the market's sort of broken out of this range, and there's potentially here a good turn point here for a much stronger move. If we come down to the daily time frame, again we can see evidence of a long trend formed here with good convergence on the indicators, and the market's recently had a pullback into, it hasn't quite got back to the moving averages yet, but we're coming back into some key levels. So again, if you see the sort of top end here where the previous highs also coincides with previous lows, the market's just underneath there at the moment. Underneath price from here we've got 134.90, so you can see that we've got significant support and resistance around there too. So a break higher above this level, a breakout, does look ripe for a bit of a move higher, and I'm quite liking that as a dollar strength play. And very similar is the dollar CAD as well. So it's looking again rather strong on these sort of mid to higher time frames, and the long trend looks intact again. If that US dollar strengthens, then this market is likely to continue to move higher, as indeed the dollar Sing as well. So there's a few markets there that we're keeping a close eye on going into the beginning of this week. I certainly hope it helps, and I look forward to speaking to you next time. Bye for now.